Hello guys, welcome back. Now today I'm going to be talking about Corey Crawford, the concussion that he just sustained, and if his NHL career is over. Now Corey Crawford suffered a heartbreaking concussion on Sunday, so what does this mean for the Chicago Blackhawks, and what does this mean for Corey Crawford? Now when it comes to Corey Crawford and the Chicago Blackhawks, he's been a dominant goalie for the past 5 years, and you can make the argument that he's been a top 5 goaltender in the entire NHL in the last few years. He's been an amazing goaltender and of course winning 2 cups with the Chicago Blackhawks, both in 2013 and in 2015. And with Corey Crawford, especially when you look at his stats for his entire career, his save percentage is through the roof, and he's one of the best guys when it comes to save percentage through the career of active goaltenders. And in the past 5 years, he's been a big reason why Chicago won those cups and were so good during that stretch. While some of that, of course, that one cup was won by Niemi, it was basically Corey Crawford's reign as the Blackhawks goaltender. But unfortunately, all careers and all good careers must come to an end. And unfortunately with Corey Crawford, it was a little bit sooner than expected. Right now the guy is at an age 33. He turns 34 on a New Year's Eve. So with Corey Crawford, he's not the oldest goaltender in the world, but he's getting up there in age. So the decline was really expected. And so for this season, he hasn't really played all too well. So for the season with the Chicago Blackhawks, he's put up a .902 save percentage in 23 games, and a lot of that has to do with the Blackhawks defense being one of the worst in the entire NHL, but Crawford so far this season has not been all too impressive, and that was expected to come with his old age and being almost 34, the decline has started to come for him. Now, one of the main reasons for this decline has been his health, especially as of late, where in the past 2 years, he has now gotten 2 concussions, including this one, and it just sucks to see overall. With Crawford, I thought he could really go the distance. I didn't think he was going to be a Roberto Luongo, but I thought he could stay in the NHL for quite a long time. But the health has really held him back from being as good as he possibly can, and of course with the concussions as of late, it's been just nagging on his entire career. Now, this whole concussion incident with Corey Crawford started with Evander Kane and Dylan Strome. Now, they were both very close to the net. They were both very close to each other, and both were going in Crawford's general area of the ice, and of course in the blue paint. Now, both of them collided a little bit. Evander Kane, you could see a little bit of a nudging from him, but I didn't think it was too much, and it was obviously enough for Dylan Strome to lose his handle with the skates and fall on top of Crawford. It was pretty much just a body slam, an unintentional body slam, but it was a pretty ugly one at that. Now, with this whole collision, Strome was just on his back. He couldn't really do too much since Evander Kane just kind of nudged him off of his tilt, and with that, Crawford was right there. He didn't really expect that. They were right along the post, and as you can see both of them falling, they both collide with the post. The post comes off of his brackets, but with Corey Crawford, he slammed his head right onto the post, and it was not pretty. It seemed like there was major damage there, and while it wasn't the most freakish accident, it was certainly not something that you want to see. And of course, after this whole incident, you guys probably already saw the screenshots already. Corey Crawford was pretty much just laying on his back. It seemed like there was nothing in his eyes. It was pretty much a concussion. It was definitely a concussion red flag. And with Crawford, he was just unmobile. He didn't really move whatsoever, and with that, there was obviously concerns right out of the gate. Now, after this whole thing, we got word that Corey Crawford suffered a concussion. He was in protocol, but right now, the Blackhawks are obviously in distress with their #1 goaltender being out with a serious concussion. Now, this was no mild concussion. This wasn't like the vertigo that he had last season. This is a full concussion, a full-blown one that Corey Crawford unfortunately had to take on. And with this, at age 34 almost, Corey Crawford has now been put in a tough situation because at this point, he's had a couple of concussions before in his career, and another one doesn't really make it look good right now. Now, what makes this really ironic, of course, is that Dylan Strome was the offender in this case. Dylan Strome practically falling crazy. It seemed like a WWE move on Corey Crawford. Unintentional, of course, but still. It was funny that Dylan Strome had to do this to the Blackhawks, of course. Dylan Strome being traded from the Coyotes to the Blackhawks this season. Unfortunately, pretty much ends their season, especially if Crawford is out long term. Now, for Corey Crawford, this is a huge decision. This isn't the Blackhawks' decision, I don't think, but with this new concussion, with Corey Crawford just turning 34 years old, Corey Crawford has to put this decision in his own hands. And this is something that I got over in the last day or two with this concussion. With Corey Crawford, should he consider retiring? Now, at this point, he is 34 years old. He's had a couple of concussions before. He had that vertigo last season. And with the health concerns, of course, the Blackhawks are seeming to be past their prime and not going to be contenders for the next couple of years. For me, it would make sense for Corey Crawford to retire. But again, this is a huge decision for him. And it really does suck that I'm going to have to ask this question to you guys, because I'm a Dallas Stars fan, you guys know that already, but I have a ton of respect for Corey Crawford, and I have for quite a while. I think he's a class act. I think like he's one of the best goalies in the league when healthy, but that's just it, when healthy. And he hasn't really been healthy too much in the last few years, and with that, at age 34, it really is a tough situation, because maybe he wants to look out for his family, maybe he wants to look out for his life after hockey, and the health concussions and the health reasons and problems are really going against that. And I didn't even know this, but the guy has a 1-year-old son. I mean, this guy has a family that he's trying to take care of, a family that he's trying to provide for with his NHL career. But with that, with the concussions that he has, it's just scary to think about him not having a great life after the hockey career. At this point, with concussions, it's serious, serious business. And for a guy like him at age 34, who's already gotten 2 cups, has already accomplished quite a lot, it might just be the best time to call it quits now. And I'm honestly just kind of scared for his health, especially if he somehow finds a way to get back into the lineup this season. For me, I feel like for the Blackhawks' sake and for Crawford's sake, it'll be best to look out for him and the human being long term. But while he's a player, he is a human being. He is still a human, and he does a lot of stuff off the ice, obviously. And with that, I feel like the Blackhawks have a tough decision to make here, but at the same time, I feel like it's a decision that Crawford needs to make. And right now, if I had to ask him, if I had to tell him something, I would just say to call it quits and end it here, because while you still are an accomplished guy and you still have more left in the tank, at this point, with the concussions that he's had so far, it might get even worse. But that's just the thing with concussions, man. They're really, really complicated, and it really differs from every single person. That's why concussions are such a problem. And with that, it just sucks for Crawford, because he's had these health issues in the last few years, and what would otherwise have been a really healthy career has been really wasted on the wayside because of that. And it kind of just worries me that Crawford might come back maybe in the next year or two, but I just don't think he'd be ready for that, at least at this point, because the concussions that he's had so far, it's not just 1 or 2, he's had multiple in his career, and I just feel like risking it is not really the best idea. Now, we've seen players in the same NHL before kind of just ignore concussions and sweep it by the wayside and continue to play hockey, but that doesn't usually end up well for them. Like most of you guys know that with concussions, the more that you have, the more likely you are to get another. And with that, with Corey Crawford and with past NHL players, we have experience. We can learn from those guys. And for Corey Crawford, while I still think he would have more left in the tank if he were to come back, I feel like just for his overall family, for his life after hockey, I feel like calling it quits now might just be the best idea for him. Now, of course, with this whole situation, we know it is a full-blown concussion, so I don't expect Corey Crawford to come back anytime soon, and if the Blackhawks are lucky, he would come back this season, maybe in the last 10 games or something. With a concussion, it is it varies from player to player, but with Corey Crawford, I don't think they should risk it one bit, and if they don't risk it, that means that Crawford is likely out for the next year or maybe even 2 years, which for the Blackhawks means that right now, they're going hard on that Jack Hughes tank. Now, right now for their goalie situation, it's not really the most ideal goalie situation at all. Right now, they're probably going to have to make Cam Ward the starter, which is not going to be good for them whatsoever. Now, they have a guy, Chris Delia, in the AHL who's played great for them in the last couple of years. They'll likely send him up and maybe get him a few games, which will be good for his sake. But with the goaltending situation in Chicago, it's not looking good whatsoever. Cam Ward started off decent, but has really pittered off since then. And with the goaltending situation, it's right back to square one, right back to where it was a year ago. With with Crawford out, and with that situation, it obviously will not translate well. And for the Blackhawks, they're not in a good position as it is, and with Corey Crawford going out, I don't see it getting much better. And for the Chicago Blackhawks, this season has already been a disaster with Corey Crawford, and now with the goaltending getting arguably a lot worse, I don't see it getting much better for them. And while this season has been a disaster so far, for Chicago Blackhawks, for the Blackhawks fans listening to this, it might get even worse. So I would say to prepare yourselves for that. But with this Corey Crawford injury, while the Tank for Hughes slogan was being put on Chicago already, I think it's going to go in full effect in the next couple of weeks. With the Chicago Blackhawks, while Corey Crawford has not played amazing so far this season, he's still a great goalie. And without him, Chicago may be in a lot more trouble than they already are right now, which for Jack Hughes might just mean that he's going to the Windy City. But again, on the topic of Corey Crawford, I'm wishing him the best of luck for his recovery. Hopefully it's a pretty healthy one. But when it comes to Corey Crawford, I'm just hopeful that he makes the right decision for his family and for his life after hockey. Not just an NHL career, because yes, we know that he can continue that if he wants, but I'm just hopeful that the decision that he makes is the best one for him. But of course, with this video, I want to hear your guys' thoughts, so let me know down below in the comments, what do you think about Corey Crawford, this new concussion that he has suffered, and do you think he should call it quits for his career? But if you guys want some more Grav goodness, you can watch this video where he's talking about the Flyers hiring Joel Quenneville and firing Dave Axtell. But that is going for you guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on Corey Crawford and if you should call it a career. And I'll see you guys next video or stream. Goodbye.